There I was, flat on my back in the damn snow. Blood gushing from my busted nose, covering my face in this warm, coppery mess. Every inch of me throbbing in pain from the countless kicks and stomps I just took. I tried to push myself up, but a piercing ache shot through my ribs. Son of a bitch, I think one of them cracked something. Squinting through the haze, I saw her strutting over Mario's girl, Tina, the same snobby cheerleader who'd been mocking me since middle school. She stopped a few feet away, eyes burning with hate. Well, if it isn't the little bitch himself, she sneered. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Just a pathetic wheeze. Tina leaned forward and hawked a huge loogie right into my face. That's for laying a hand on my man, prick. The warm saliva mixed with the metallic taste of blood. I wanted to vomit, but before I could muster the energy, her clique was already walking away, laughing their asses off. I stayed there for what felt like an eternity, the cold slowly seeping into my bones. Somehow I knew this shit wouldn't blow over easy. Mario had been tormenting me for over a year now, ever since I accidentally bumped into him in the hallway back in 10th grade. That little Antina dent, get it? Kicked off a living hell of pranks, insults, and straight-up beatdowns from him and his douchebag crew. I was the punching bag of Franklin High, all for a stupid mistake that any normal person would have just laughed off. But in Mario's tiny Neanderthal brain, I had disrespected him in front of his girl. So from that day on, my life became a hurricane of fists, slurs, and shattered self-esteem. No matter where I went, they found me. No matter how hard I tried to mind my own business, I couldn't escape their wrath. Teachers didn't help, they just labeled me a troublemaker when I dared to defend myself. The principal's door might as well have been bolted shut. I was completely alone, just trying to survive the daily gauntlet of humiliation. But after yesterday's knockout punch in the parking lot, something inside me had snapped. I knew if I didn't stand up soon, Mario would just keep beating me down until I dropped out of school altogether. This bullshit cycle had to end, one way or another. Little did I know, the worst was still yet to come. The next morning, I could barely move. My body was one giant bruise, stinging with every shallow breath. But I had to show my face, let those pricks know their reign of terror didn't break me. As I limped through the doors of Franklin High, every eyeball felt locked onto me. Whispers and muffled snickers echoed down the halls. I tried to keep my head down, but it was no use. Yo, did you get your ass kicked again, bitch? Some random jock shouted from across the atrium. My face burned with shame, but I pressed on to my locker, doing my best to tune out the taunts. Just get to class, I told myself. One step at a time. That's when Tina appeared, Mario's arm draped around her shoulders. She glared at me with those cold, dead eyes. Well, if it isn't Slaughter's punching bag, she sneered. Come back for another beating, Mario puffed out his chest. Should have stayed home, pussy. This ain't over, I opened my mouth, but they were already sauntering off, cackling louder with each step. My stomach knotted. What did he have planned now? A hard slap on the back made me wince in pain. It was Robbie, my one friend stuck by me through this hell. Dude, don't let those clowns get to you, he said. Just keep your head up and avoid them at all costs. The last thing you need is his voice trailed off as the final bell rang. I exhaled, dreading what god-awful torment would unfold next period. I tried to focus during English class, but my mind kept drifting back to Mario's threat. What was that prick planning now? Just the thought of facing him again made my gut twist into knots. The bell finally rang, snapping me out of my daze. I gathered my stuff and headed for the door, Robbie right beside me. We turned the corner and... bam! Lockers slammed shut, surrounding us in a ring of sneering faces. It was Mario's posse, at least 10 deep, closing in like a pack of hyenas. Yo, check it out, one of them shouted. The bitch is back for round 2. My heart pounded as they inched closer, cracking their knuckles. This couldn't be happening, not after yesterday's beating. Just keep walking, Robbie muttered under his breath. But it was too late. 2 of the herd had already stepped into our path, blocking the exit. One was this scrawny kid I'd never seen before. The other was Vince, a roided-up meathead who looked ready to pulverize someone. Where you going? Punching bag, Vince snarled, getting in my face. Don't you want to stick around for the fun? The scrawny kid stepped forward too. Yeah man, we heard you were taking swings at us yesterday during the fight. What? No way, you've got the wrong. Wham. His fist caught my eye socket before I could finish. Bright lights and searing pain exploded across my face as I crumpled to the ground. The last thing I heard was Robbie's voice frantically pleading with them to stop. Then, everything went black. I came to with Robbie shaking me, his voice tense but hushed. "Dude, we gotta get you to the nurse's office before they come back." Slowly, the throbbing pain brought everything into focus. I was laying on the floor, one eye already swollen shut, my mouth filling with the metallic taste of blood. Those bastards had jumped me again, this time for no damn reason at all. Robbie pulled me to my feet, letting me lean on him for support. Every step shot jolts of agony through my ribs. But we had to keep moving before that gang of hyenas circled back to finish me off. Finally, we stumbled through the nurse's door and I collapsed into a chair. She took one look at my mangled face and opened her mouth to undoubtedly ask what happened, but I cut her off. "Don't bother. Just call my mom in the principal's office," I groaned through bloodstained lips. "This shit has gone way too far." Robbie stared at me, concerned. We both knew this might be my only chance to put a stop to the misery, once and for all, but also that the odds weren't in my favor. An hour later, I found myself in Principal Mitchell's office, pleading my case between Mario and his goons. Every word that came out of their lying mouths made my blood boil hotter. "We were just defending ourselves after he took a swing," Mario stated flatly, not even having the decency to look me in the eyes. "Yeah, dude came at us swinging for no reason," the scrawny one added with a snide smirk. I couldn't believe the audacity of these fakers. I wanted to scream, to grab them by their punk-ass collars and bash their faces in. But I knew that wouldn't help, it would just reinforce their bullshit narrative. So I kept my cool and looked Principal Mitchell dead in the eyes. With all due respect, that's a goddamn lie. And you know it, I stared down Principal Mitchell, daring her to call my bluff. I never threw a single punch at any of them. They jumped me completely unprovoked. Mitchell's brow furrowed as she glanced between me and Mario's crew. For a brief moment, I thought I had her that a shred of justice might prevail. But Mario wasn't about to back down. "That's bullshit," he shouted, pointing an accusing finger. "We were just defending ourselves after you tried swinging on Vince yesterday. You're lucky we didn't put you in the hospital, punk." The others nodded adamantly while I looked on in disbelief. How could they lie so brazenly to this woman's face? Didn't she see their beady eyes danced with deceit? Mitchell rubbed her temples and sighed. "Well, this is a mess. From the sounds of it, there was provocation on both sides that escalated things unnecessarily." My jaw dropped. Provocation? From me? I wanted to protest, to scream my innocence, but she kept talking. "However, fighting is strictly against the rules, no matter who started it. So I have no choice but to suspend you all 2 days for you boys. 3 for Mario as the ringleader." My heart sank to the pit of my stomach. This was her idea of justice? A mere slap on the wrist for the animals who almost put me in traction? "You've got to be kidding me," I shouted through a busted lip. "Those punks jumped me for no goddamn reason. Why am I getting suspended at all?" Mitchell's face hardened. "Watch your mouth, young man. You'll be lucky if I don't tack on another day for that outburst. My decision is final." She scribbled some notes and waved us out. 2 days? How was that fair in any sense of the word? As I stormed out behind Robbie, throwing one last hateful glare at Mario's smug face, I knew this injustice wouldn't lie. Not by a long shot. Those next 2 days of suspension felt more like 2 months trapped in solitary confinement. I barely left my bedroom, avoiding my parents' disappointed looks and listening to Mario's taunts endlessly replay through my throbbing headache. How could the principal be so blind? So unwilling to see the truth? I replayed the meeting over and over, frantically trying to pinpoint where I went wrong in pleading my case. But the more I agonized over it, the deeper the pit of anger and hopelessness became. I was the victim here, the one who got assaulted, threatened, and humiliated for no other reason than being an easy target. Yet Mitchell just lumped me in with the animals who launched the unprovoked attack. Her mind was so clouded by their lies that she refused to see reality staring her right in the face. What kind of person, educator, no less, could be so calloused, so willfully obstinate to injustice even when the evidence was undeniable? The more I dwelled on it, the more her behavior seemed not just misguided, but actively malicious. I'd never felt so alone, so gaslit by the very authorities meant to protect me. Everywhere I turned, dishonesty and cruelty prevailed through twisted logic and political calculations. The world was rotten, composed of turds like Mario shielded by gutless enablers like Mitchell. By the time I returned to school, my anger had crystallized into a jagged lump of determination. One way or another, I'd make them see the truth. And if they still refused, I'd make them taste the same pain they'd inflicted on me by whatever means necessary. As I walked through those doors, I no longer felt afraid of the taunts and sneers awaiting me. Dread had been replaced by a feverish craving to make things right, no matter how hard I had to struggle. Mario and his goons could push me down, but they'd never keep me buried. Not anymore. The next few days at school were eerily calm, no jeers, no menacing looks, nothing. Mario's crew kept their distance like I had the plague. At first I relished in the peace and quiet, savoring my first taste of normalcy in over a year. But I knew it wouldn't last. This was just the calm before the storm, the deep breath before an even harsher onslaught of torment. I had to strike first before they regrouped and made my life even more of a living hell. My chance came on Thursday during the morning rush. I spotted Mario at the top of the main stairwell, flanked by his usual meathead entourage as they shoved past students like entitled pricks. As they descended the steps, I took a deep breath and stepped into their path. Well, look who finally decided to show his face, Mario sneered, puffing out his chest. You just can't get enough, can you, punching bag? The others snickered and closed in, cutting off any escape route. My heart was pounding, but my fists remained clenched at my sides. No more cowering. Mario took a step down until we were face to face. What's the matter, bitch? Pussy got your tongue. That's when I launched myself forward, slamming into his body with every ounce of built-up rage. Mario's eyes went wide as his feet slipped out from under him. A guttural gasp escaped his lips as he tumbled backwards, arms flailing helplessly as his crew scattered like cockroaches. For what felt like an eternity, all I could hear were the sickening thuds as Mario tumbled down the steps until finally landing in a twisted, groaning heap at the bottom. A sickly hush fell over the crowd of onlookers. As a teacher finally rushed over to help, I spotted Tina's face in the crowd, her expression drained of its usual malice. For once, she looked afraid of me. A twisted smile crept across my lips. That was the last time any of them ever messed with me again.